Curiosity. Curiosity. Curiosity.
This episode contains images from a variety of science fiction illustrators, some of which are mildly sexual in nature. If you are easily offended by such, then this video may not be for you. Please proceed at your own discretion. Welcome to the Curiosity Shack, where odds and ends and other curiosities I've picked up over the years reside. These are things I've either forgotten about or have never thrown away. Items that aren't necessarily rare, but are definitely not commonplace. In this episode, we look at a book I've owned since early 1979 when I was 15, Mechanismo, a science fiction graphics extravaganza. It's chock full of what was the bleeding edge of sci-fi art back in the late 70s. While there is some text, a broad treatise on science fiction written by Harry Harrison, its real legacy is the wealth of fantastic imagery contained within. Created by a wide variety of artists, they represent what is now considered the classic age of illustration. And it is for those illustrations that I coveted the book back then, using it as a reference in my own budding career as an illustrator and designer. Just looking at the unopened book elicited excitement. Jim Burns' painting dramatically plastered the cover with his Ghazi fighter and Sentry Bayat. Executed in a near-realistic manner, his unmistakable technique was featured in a number of pieces within the volume. All in all, he garnered more pages than all but one of the other artists. Combining familiarity of situation with fantastic worlds of machines, his work made the viewer feel like such scenes were plausible. This was the case with Seoul Transit Complex 7, Janus, featuring a number of pilots and other Starship crew members in the foreground, while travelers to far-off worlds wait beyond for transport. Expounding on the illustrations, while also telling an alternate story, are futuristic printouts scattered throughout. While the text tells the tales, exquisite cutaways drawn by the late Brian Lewis delight the eye. Lewis's bold strokes and attention to detail give a peek behind the skins of the machines, showing a world just as detailed in the micro as it is in the macro. He even shows the inner workings of a Star Wars lightsaber and blaster, both appearing, at least at a glance, to be correct with the series canon. We can hope that he saw some of the galleys, if not the printed book, before he died that year in 1978. One can assume that he was proud of the work he was commissioned for, as well as for the inclusion of his piece titled Love Machine. The only non-cutaway drawing, it feels as if it belonged in an unpublished Barbarella issue. In addition to the Star Wars weapons, Mechanismo also contained two Ralph McQuarrie pre-production paintings, which was quite something since the movie had only been out about a year before the book was printed. Seeing early versions of an X-Wing fighter and a Jawa Sandcreeper is quite commonplace these days, but back then they were revelations. Glimpses of movies yet to be released were also present with two paintings by H.R. Giger. While the subject matter wasn't from Alien, his style, as with much of his work, mirrored designs for the film. A film, it must be mentioned, that we weren't even aware of at the time since it was still in production. Even TV got in on the act with what I swear is a pre-production sketch for the $6 Million Man. Take a look and tell me that the cyborg doesn't bear more than a passing resemblance to Lee Majors. A wide range of artists and techniques were well represented, even including the then cutting-edge artist Russell Mills. His dynamometer and perpetual motion machine, both from Supermail by Alfred Jarry, were done in a style that was avant-garde for the late 70s. And lest you think it was an all-boys collection, Jennifer Eakes' work faced one of Mills' pieces. The complete opposite of the children's book she makes now, the style and subject matter of the illustration was also progressive for the period. NASA's vision for the future was also laid out in paintings by Roy Coombs. Showcasing the Island 3 space colony, we were shown how we would live, work, and play in space and on the moon in his luscious yet retro visions. Yes, they were even retro for the 70s, typical for everything that came out of the space agency in that era. Above all, the illustrations characterize the epitome of the art of the airbrush, and none did it better than Angus McKee, whose work fills just as many pages as Jim Burns. His multi-hued, almost primary colored dream of the unreal was the complete opposite of the dystopian nightmares that would soon overwhelm all forms of media. Clean and precise in his draftsmanship, his universe, even in the moments of chaos, conjured new worlds just waiting to be explored. In many ways, Mechanismo perfectly reflects the 70s ideal of what the future was. It's a vision of tomorrow at a time when the science fiction blockbuster was just emerging, when a franchise had nothing to do with film and was usually a fast food restaurant. The era was just reaching the apex of handcrafted illustration, attaining a precision that had long been sought after. It was the last stab at perfection before computers would make it so much easier to render what could be. That's it for this episode. If you're interested in buying the book, follow our links in the description to Amazon. Making your purchases through our navigation helps to support us and is greatly appreciated. You can also show your support for AltarPast by becoming a patron through our Patreon account. The link in the description will help you find out more. Be sure to subscribe to AltarPast and never miss an episode of The Past You Never Knew. Also, give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Read a more in-depth account of this story in the original blog post at alterpast.wordpress.com. Thanks for watching. This is Will Carlson, and I'll see you in the AltarPast.
Curiosity.
Curiosity. Curiosity.
Curiosity.